your answers are questions.
Starting off with, will you create an OnlyFans? I only got one of those. Oh, I need one day to be sexy enough that all my questions are that.
I would think that would get, I don't know, distracting after a while.
I feel bad for, ladies of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not a fun world. We can start with the real one, though. You ready for something? There's some real good ones and some real trainy ones and some life ones that we got here. Training and nutrition advice for transitioning out of powerlifting. I want to stay strongish, but less fat. What I don't like is that he automatically says, and he probably doesn't mean it, but it's built into everyone's brain that you have to be fat to be strong, or you have to be fat to be a powerlifter. That's the most typical stereotype of ever since ever, and he phrased the question like that.
That's actually what I was going to say too,
Yeah.
because it's not. We know plenty of powerlifters who are not fat.
Yeah.
I mean, and for some of them, fat means that they don't have all of the abs that they normally do. You know,
sure. Or someone that's naturally skinny now has to put on some mass or something because they're 5'10", $150, and they want to gain some strength. You will just gain some.
And what's fat? Is fat like an extra 20 pounds? Is
That's
it
a
an
good
extra
question.
40 pounds? You know?
Because you definitely don't need even an extra 20 to be your strongest.
Yeah.
You might need that extra 5. And that's going to be person to person. And someone's going to yell at me like, Mike said you need to be 5 pounds fat to be strong. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is some people, not all, but some will benefit from extra calorie intake and being a hair fluffier than before. Where the old adage was get as big as you can.
Yeah.
Get in the smallest suit as you can.
Right.
Hence, powerlifters are fat.
Right.
But that's just not the case. I mean, look at the top guys across the board. Even Bryce Lewis, who's a little heavier because he's a little bit shorter for his weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's quads are shredded, shoulders are popping, triceps are look like a
Joe
fucking.
Sullivan.
Joe's insanely jacked. Obviously, the lighter weight classes guys are jacked. The Russ Swolls and the John Hacks, those guys are bin freaks.
Yeah.
They're super. But even the big boys, like Milanichev, who is 6'1" and probably high 300s at his best. He had muscle on him, and he had a little bit of a gut, but that's the biggest, baddest dude around. He's one of the best powerlifters of all time. Jamal Browner, one of my favorite powerlifters currently. Dude is insanely jacked at 250. If you manage your nutrition, I think the bigger issue too was powerlifting nutrition. What was it? Eat everything. Get calories in before, get calories in after. Whereas if you have a little bit of a plan, you don't need to be fat by any means.
Yeah. Looking at I was looking at somebody's Instagram the other day saying that they had gotten, very, very lean, and then they're reverse dieting back up another 10 pounds, and they still look really lean.
Yeah.
And they powerlift. And so
even Lane Norton. Lane's been jacked. He's been a little heavier, but he's also been fairly jacked at any body weight. And again, you can be strong more than just strongish. You can get stronger with the smallest calorie. You don't need a calorie surplus, but the smallest calorie surplus will help you still get stronger. So transitioning out of it, obviously the mindset you have been in, you probably need to focus more on your nutrition and even just little things. I literally just wrote an article on this for Kaizen the other day about cardio for lifting. And it could just be warming up better and more. It's not going to affect your lifting. If you just go for a 10 to half an hour walk or bike ride, elliptical, before you lift, you're going to burn a little bit extra calories. You're going to get in better shape. You're training your heart, which is something no one talks about anymore. And you'll burn those calories. It won't affect your lifting at all. Maybe the first week. You're like, man, that kind of tired me out. But that's only if you're in the worst shape ever. After that, you're going to feel normal. And then after your training, if you train 4 times a week, walk another half hour, walk another 45 minutes, walk another hour, depending on your starting stage. And then paying more attention to your protein intake, your veggie intake. You can track your calories if you want. I think most powerlifters probably never have. And it probably is a tool that you can use and utilize to start to learn the type of foods that you're putting in your stomach, learn what a serving size looks like, learn what 2,000 calories actually looks like in a day. But the training part, that's up to you. I've never pushed anyone to powerlift, I think the barbell is a really good tool, and I like to squat, bench, dead. And I think training heavy is probably the best, not only for general health, which shows a lot of muscle stuff as you're getting older, maintaining muscle, but building muscle, being strong, being fast. But if you want to go do yoga, transition can be anything for you. You can go pick up basketball again. You can pick up golf. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, and I know we didn't fully answer your question. We went on a rant about fat people, but
well, I mean, some of it too is how. I mean, are you saying this because you're uncomfortable with the weight that you're at, and you might find that you're that if you slowly get from whatever you're weighing now to less than what you're weighing now, you might be more comfortable. You might move better. You might want to, pick up heavier stuff again.
That's what I was going to wonder too. Is are you just quitting powerlifting because you don't like how you look?
Yeah,
but that has nothing to do with powerlifting.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with powerlifting
Zero
at all. Yeah,
that's an old wrong stereotype too. Like if we're myth busting, like powerlifters aren't going to have wider waists. Maybe if you never do any compounds, you'll have a smaller waist because your obliques do grow. But like obliques aren't growing feet. It's not like you have 12-inch arms and then you grow 22-inch arms.
Right,
your obliques aren't
right.
doing that. Your erectors will grow. So yeah, your trunk will grow a little bit, but it's not going from with no fat 20-inch waist to all muscle 30-inch waist. Like it's not growing like that. So that's an old adage too. Or you're getting bulky muscles, or you'll grow muscles here and there. Like if you power lift and then have certain accessories, your physique will be the same as anything. Your muscles grow and shrink. They don't grow in weird forms based on how you train them. So don't blame powerlifting for being fat.
Right.
If you don't like how you look, you can change this easy. And that's something. And then the opposite too is you can get lighter and maintain your strength, or even get stronger possibly, depending on the individual. And that's something, again, Lane, Jim works with Lane quite a bit, and obviously we've known him for a very long time. But that's something Lane preaches all the time too, is if you automatically say like, one day you switch your hamburger lunch for a salad, and then you have a shitty training session because you think you're weak all of a sudden. Like it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way at all.
Yeah, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, and I don't know. You're going to be better off having more muscle if you're trying to maintain a leaner body anyway.
Yeah, it's always going to look better and feel better.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that obviously as you lose weight, you uncover more muscle. You look better even if you weigh less or you're smaller often.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I don't know. Instead of a hard and fast on this, I would say
hard and fast?
Yeah. hard and fast
soft
rule.
and slow.
Soft and slow rule. Start playing around with it. Start playing around with cutting calories. Change your workout for a couple weeks, but don't get married to anything and see what happens along the way. N equals 1. Experiment on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. This is relevant to many people, but obviously to us, as in where we are right now. What's your favorite in not parentheses? What are these things?
Brackets?
In brackets. Makes you giggle. First thing. I'm a humorous guy. I like to laugh. Nothing makes me giggle. Nothing fucking makes me giggle, all right?
Sometimes things I do LOL. Every once in a while, something catches me off guard, and I will literally
That's a
laugh out
whole
loud.
topic for another day. I was talking to Kyle and Connor. I was like, dude, nothing makes me laugh when I'm by myself.
Oh, things make me laugh when I'm by myself.
Not really. Sure. Yeah, I wish.
For sure.
I have so many. There's another Twitter trend. I know I'm all over the fucking place. There's a Twitter trend a while ago, and people were talking about when you're thinking or even conversing in your head, do you hear your voice, or do you just not hear your voice in your head?
Oh, that's a good question.
And there's a lot of people, and it surprised me, obviously, because I'm on one side of this answer, but how many people are like, no, I don't hear a voice in my head. I think thoughts, but I'm not talking to myself all day. I'm fucking talking to myself all day. All day I hear this nasally-ass voice in my brain, and it won't shut up. You guys think I talk a lot in this reality?
Wait till you see what goes on inside your head.
In between my brain or my ears, it doesn't shut the fuck up.
I don't have.
And so I giggle there.
Yeah.
In my head, or literally, I don't even laugh in my head. My inner voice says, "That's funny," and then we move on.
I don't hear my own voice for sure. No.
I just assumed everybody did.
No, I don't hear my own voice, and often I hear other people's specific voices.
Like when you're thinking about them or something?
Yeah, well, I don't have to be thinking about them. I mean, I think that it's usually because something has made me think of them, and the thought that I get in my head is kind of what their commentary would be in my head.
Yeah. What would Connor say to this thing or something?
Yeah, a lot of it's dead people. I'm sorry, but
that's
it's
sad.
Well, it's not so much. Not so
it's
much
memories. Yeah,
yeah,
it's,
not as much as
memories.
well. It's projection, really, because they're not necessarily things that they actually said.
Sure.
I sometimes hear my dad. I hear my late father-in-law.
Yeah.
My late best friend.
Yeah.
There are other people that I hear. Oh, one of the weird ones is Roman. Actually, when I'm writing, I hear Roman because he spent a lot of time creating content around writing.
Yeah. And that's
For some reason
you've absorbed and learned from.
Yeah. I mean, I've known him for a very long time. So, although this was not always his bent, he was always a really good writer and always a really fast writer.
Yeah, I'm a fast writer. I don't know if I'm a good one, but I've never heard other people's things. I don't think, or voices.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily their voice; it's what they would say.
Yeah.
I guess it's not literally their voice all the time.
Yeah.
It's just things that they would say,
and you know it's from their perspective.
Right.
But the question is, what makes you giggle? What piece of equipment in the new gym? What's your favorite piece of equipment in the new gym? But we can turn that because some of our equipment's not here.
Just not here, but that's another discussion.
But what piece of equipment makes you giggle? I don't think any makes me giggle. The speakers kind of made me giggle. I guess made me happy.
The speakers turned out pretty cool, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, they sound good. They mounted good, even though it was like our plan C, how we mounted them. But they sound really good, and we just kind of guessed placement. We didn't do anything special to find our placement besides semi-logic, and it turned out really good. They sound really good, and I love music.
So fresh and so clean make me giggle.
Yeah, those are really good. Jim got majority of the art for the entire place, front lobby space and the bathrooms. My mom has some stuff she's going to sprinkle in. I think Jim will like. Maybe he'll hate it. I don't know. I thought it was cool. We'll see. Maybe everyone will hate it. It's going to either, it's one of these things you're like, that doesn't belong here. You literally will say that, or you'll be like, that's really cool because it doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
So we'll see when that gets here. What my mom got kind of makes me giggle. I love the art Jim got. The wall, I don't know if it makes me giggle, but it's just the shit that we put a lot of time and made different, I think, is what I enjoy.
Yeah, I actually.
The desk.
Yeah. The desk is cool. These framed out windows.
Yeah, windows in a gym are cool, and the gym made them look cooler.
They don't make me giggle, but it's just such a dramatic difference on what was here before.
Yeah. I guess if I had to choose like equipment, these plates.
The revolvers.
Yeah, because they're fucking expensive. And then I was talking to Jim. I was like, I don't think I've ever been to a powerlifting gym, strength and conditioning style gym that's not a university or paid by the Sacramento Kings or something, that has matching plates. Mm-hmm. And so we'll have bumpers that are different because obviously bumpers are different plates. But all of our plates hopefully will be these. And that I don't know. There's something about deadlifting, or you start to get into 4, 5, 6, 7 plates on a bar, and they're all the same. Maybe because it's never been that way anywhere I've trained. Yeah. That it starts to feel really good.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me giggle.
Yeah. A lot of people commenting on the revolver plates. So that's actually why I set us up over here, since the studio is still in the state that it's in. We
half insulated.
Yeah, we did some spray foam insulation in there that probably needs to be on thicker. This is our maiden voyage into this. We did not have a professional guide us through this process. We were just figuring it out on our own, like so many other things.
I don't know who it was. It might have been Bibby, my buddy. It might have been somebody else. Fuck, who was I talking to? Oh, it was Matt, my buddy Matt. Vlad, shout out to Vlad. He said, yeah, when you guys said you were like building the gym, I didn't know you guys were literally building the gym, because he saw like the insulation spray. He's like, you haven't really hired nobody? I was like, electrician. Yeah. Yeah, so we don't die. But otherwise, yeah, we literally are doing every single step, half professionally, half unprofessionally.
And the electrician's a friend of Kyle's. Not like we got a discount or anything, but you know.
Yeah, but we know him.
Yeah.
Next question. Hey, Mike and Jim. How do you navigate through life when you're not sure on what you want to do yet? I don't know if you want to state your age and how many jobs you've had.
I'm old and I've had a lot of jobs, and my watch wants me to check my rings because I have apparently not done shit today.
Check what?
My rings.
What's a ring?
Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Like they were It's like 3 rings. One of them is standing. One of them is movement. One of them is, I don't know what the other one is. So it tells you to check your rings about activity.
You haven't walked enough.
I haven't done shit. I laid down on a massage table for an hour and a half.
Yeah, whatever. Get over it, iPhone.
Yeah. So yeah, my answer to this question is like, it's hard to decide among a number of things that interest you if you actually have interests.
Yeah. I don't know what my interests are if you were just to ask me that.
And I think a lot of people try to make a decision about going forward with their lives without really having a lot of information.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So I think that thing number one is you pretty much have to explore what you might actually be interested in doing if you're not already there.
And I mention this in every podcast, but I think that's what's the main issue with our education system. Not the main, top two, is that you don't get a sample. You don't get an appetizer of what the work is.
Right.
I love gyms. I absolutely love lifting weights. I'm going to be a trainer and a gym owner. Like, well, do you like being a trainer and a gym owner? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because you've never experienced what it's like to train people for 10 hours a day, to mop, to clean, to do the financials, to apply for a business license, to do the taxes. You've never done all this. You just like the feeling of a bicep curl.
Mm-hmm.
That's much different. Or, I love cars. I'm going to go be a mechanic or a car engineer or something. Like, well, do you even like math? Do you like bloody knuckles all the time from reaching into like the application or what the actual job is so different. So until, like Jim said, you actually try it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried probably less things than Jim. One, because I'm younger, and two, I've just been in fitness space for 12 years and athletic space for 15 years of work-ish. And I guess I dabbled in creating my own companies in high school, but I still don't know if this is like what I love. I like fitness. I like to move. I like to help people. I like seeing people enjoy the gym almost more than I enjoy the gym. But what I do with work or day-to-day life is I base it like on my, I guess, morals, for lack of another word, like my pillars of what I am or who I am. And my pillars are like, I like to create. Because at the end of the day, if I met Jim whenever we met 10 years ago, and damn, it literally is, because I think I was 22 or 23. If Jim said, we do actually, so this is a bad example, because Jim's like, I like cars or something, which we both do. But if Jim's like, I'm opening a mechanic shop or a performance shop, who knows? We could be there, because I just want to create. And so maybe I'm over there creating that with you. It just happens that the world kind of spun us back to where we started. But point being, my pillars are like, do things for people, create, and then do things with people I want to be around all day. And so those kind of 3 pillars drive me to start Kaizen with Omar, start this with you, stream online and play video games with my friends. Like, it's not that I'm so addicted to video games. I literally don't play video games by myself. I haven't played video games by myself since I was probably in high school. Wow. Before. Where most people, when they say like, I'm a gamer and I'm better than you, I'm not. It's not like I'm a casual gamer. I'm fucking better than you. Everyone's like, I play Call of Duty too. You don't. You suck. I'll whoop your ass. But I'm not going to go home and play by myself ever. I probably won't work out by myself ever either. Unless it's like, that's a little more complicated, because it's like driven by me being an athlete, and then me, how I look and perform drives our business. So that's like a complicated relationship I have with the gym. But typically I don't want to work out by myself either. I don't want to start a business all by myself. I might have never actually. I don't think I have ever. I've started and helped 10 businesses since I was 16, maybe, and none were by myself. And not because I'm like scared, not because I don't want the money, not because I don't have the resources. It's just not in my pillars.
It's just not. It's a lot harder by yourself.
That too. But
that's what it comes down to.
I guess I've done an online coaching by myself, kind of. But the point is, like, those pillars drive everything I do, and I don't want to work by myself, despite me being antisocial. Even if it's just a text, like, hey, I'm doing this right now, Jim, and you're like, hey, I'm doing that right now. Okay, I'd rather do that.
On an unrelated but not entirely unrelated note, a thing about, like, we've been podcasting together for over 7 years. And we've done it where we were hanging out a whole lot together, but not as much as we have over the last few months.
Yeah.
And there have been times in the past, it's like, oh, wait, I know we want to have a conversation about X thing. Let's not talk about it in person.
Yeah.
That's harder now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Ever been. I don't know why is my phone ringing right now.
Yeah, 100%. Part of it's an in-person business we're starting too.
Right, that's the thing. Where because when we were doing stuff together before, we were not actually like working together on anything but the podcast.
Right.
This is everything.
Yeah, and
all the time.
Podcast wasn't as business shaped.
No.
Or driven.
No.
Yeah.
Not for us, at least.
But to answer you, my friend on Instagram, I don't know how you navigate it. I think Jim dabbled in a lot of different jobs until kind of finding a couple answers for himself. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but you need to work for yourself. You want to do it this way. You want to do it that way. For me, it's relying on those pillars. But I think Jim's advice probably mixed in with that's the best is you kind of have to experiment, try different jobs, whether that's interviews or talking to friends or internships. I don't know how old you are, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But internships, stuff like that, so you actually get a taste of what the job entails, and then just being self-aware, like anything else in life. I think you have to be self-aware enough to understand what it is you want to do, what it is that you love, what it is that actually fulfills you. Because what fulfills you may actually not be something you like. So like example for me is something that fulfills me is actually getting a job done, like task A, and then complete task A. That's actually what fulfills me on the inside. But everything that I want to do is like long-term business. And you don't get that satisfaction from that little fulfillment, right? I think we mentioned even the last podcast with our barber was a good example. He's like, yeah, I like seeing task A and completing task A well. So he sees a messy haircut and he makes a nice haircut. Mm-hmm. He does that multiple times a day. So like his passion fulfillment's always, very least he gets that done.
Yeah.
I don't have that. And our jobs, the renovation has that a little bit, but generally speaking, when you're running a business, you don't really have that. You have like little pillars you're kind of jumping up, but there's not like, oh, I built a business, job over.
Yeah, there's never a job over.
Right.
That's the thing. There's never a job over. That's why the little tasks are important. I think.
Yeah, which is a whole nother deeper issue of mine is I just can't feel a win with little tasks.
Yeah, I can. I can and I do.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's huge. I think that's huge for a lot of people. But yeah, look inside yourself. Therapy might help. Talking it out with somebody what really fulfills you. Even those silly personality tests might help you find a job or a passion or something you might want. But otherwise, yeah, it might be trial and error, buddy. Here's a life advice one I like this. Should I tell my crush happy birthday even though she's been ghosting me?
Well, to me, it's kind of a test. So if you say happy birthday and they don't respond,
from a married man. That's a good husband.
And they do not respond.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking you were going to say the test anyways. That she's testing you to make sure you remember her birthday.
Oh no, that's a possibility too. Although that doesn't. I mean, yeah.
I'm letting him rip, kid. Just shoot it. Let that thing out. I'm giving her a happy birthday. I agree with Jim. Is maybe start to snip the crush a little bit.
Yeah.
And guard yourself. But I do think you let that thing rip. What was it? Because it's not like you're doing something weird. It's not you're confronting her like, hey, why haven't you answered me? It's just happy birthday. There's no negative there. No. I'd wish a genuine one. Let her rip, but then maybe take it as a sign like Jim said.
Yeah, if you don't hear anything back or you hear a really lukewarm back or whatever, maybe time to move on a little bit. You know?
I feel like 50% Facts could be a good relationship podcast because you've had what's from the outside seeming a very wonderful relationship for a long time, and I'm lonely, single, useless with no advice. So that could be the 50% too. I could give you like a reckless advice and then Jim could give you probably good, safe advice.
Reasonable advice.
Yeah, something that might actually help you.
Yeah, I might have to check with my wife and see if I'm actually qualified for that. But
we'll throw her in here too. Most craved food.
Peanut butter.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, totally peanut butter.
Peanut butter things, just a scoop?
Everything about peanut butter.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think the best peanut butter in the world is the kind that's made from Valencia peanuts.
Where's that?
The Spanish peanuts, the ones with the red shells.
Oh yeah.
Where they not shells, but the
little skin on them.
Skin, yeah, the red skin. Those are the best.
So then chunky or no?
Chunky always, unless it's going to be Jif or something like that.
Then no
where you
chunky.
know it's then smooth. But what about you?
I don't know, to be honest. The issue is I really am just kind of a fat kid. And like my most, probably if I had to choose like a food is probably like pizza or ice cream. But the truth is it's just a moderation deal. So it's whatever's in front of me. I taste it, and now I crave more of that. It could be fucking carrot sticks. That's what people don't get. It's just less likely carrot sticks are around me. But I think it's an anxiety, stress, put it in my mouth deal.
I'm a stress eater for sure.
And just like, but like not only like high stress, just I bite my nails. It's kind of stuff like that. Like I just kind of.
I've been managing my stress around this project with food.
I haven't been too bad, actually.
Freely honest about that. But the thing about it is that I was thinking about this the other day because I was talking to a friend who's gone through a rough time. I feel a little bit guilty that I don't feel worse.
In generally speaking, or the food part?
In general.
No, I think that's good.
You know, like we've had this project and we've been busy and it's scary and it's, you know, and success is always elusive in the startup world, and I think that we, you know, maybe have some advantages that other people don't have.
Yeah, I think that's why.
And for whatever reason, I don't have the level of anxiety that I expected to, or do I have the level of anxiety around the world that a lot of people do right now?
I can't necessarily say the world because I've just been ignoring it over the last 4 weeks. I paid a lot of attention to everything, and I haven't been ignoring it. I just haven't been. I normally watch a lot of the news. I listen to a lot of radio. I read a lot of articles. I've kind of stepped away from that to manage my stress. But I think I'm the same as you, but it's probably in what I think is just because we have a level of confidence in our work. And that's something that I've always, shout out to Dean Stark, my basketball coach, is just like, if you prepare the right way, if you practice the right way, in powerlifting, I preach it as well. If you do those things, you should have confidence going into it. And this running a business isn't much like a prepping for a powerlifting meet typically. Running a business is more like running a team or being part of a team. But for us, it's been more like running a powerlifting program because you're doing all this work to get this result for us, where normally it's an ongoing thing. Like the business is running and how do you fix it? How do you improve it? It's different things. But now we're doing all this stuff and we don't know what our total is going to be when opening happens or when we launch the clothing, or we don't know. But I think because of our level of detail, because of our level of work, an insane amount of work, an insane amount of thought, I just have confidence in us, I think. So my stress isn't too bad either. And maybe that's why I'm not eating like a pig. But yeah, if I had to choose ice cream, I can always eat ice cream.
Yeah.
I actually don't have cravings, really. I'm just fat. I just want to eat.
I will have cravings.
Yeah, I just want to eat all the time. But it's not often just something just pop in my head like, man, I need ice cream. But like, I'll just say like, let's get food. And then anything anyone says, I want that. You know what I mean? I just always want food.
I think that like if I'm actually paying attention to what I'm eating, really paying attention, that doesn't work for me. Sometimes it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. That sounds too heavy, too greasy, too whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I've never said no. I really, there's like foods I just don't like.
Right.
And I'll say no. But otherwise, if I'm not in the mood for a burger and you're like burger, I'm like, oh, I'm eating a burger.
Yeah.
I'll just get in the mood.
Well, yeah, for me too, the like I can eat an unfortunate amount of whatever.
Yeah.
Unless I'm really actively working on losing weight, in which case it sort of makes me sick to think about eating a ton.
Yeah.
But like I just had lunch and I could eat again right now.
Yeah, that's my issue.
And I'm not hungry.
That's my
but I could totally eat.
We got a specific question for you.
Okay.
What is Jim McD's biggest total?
Oh, I have no fucking clue.
But above 600 squat and above 600 pull.
Yeah.
That ain't no joke.
Yeah. I never had my biggest total in one meet. That's the answer to that question. I squatted 650, pulled 611. I think I benched 451.
Which is actually fairly common in raw lifting, but way more common in geared lifting to have your biggest lifts in different meets.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Raw it happens still, but sometimes guys, you can level up a little bit more with all of them as you're getting stronger, but in geared lifting it is a little bit different world.
And I've said this before, I think that probably the two that I'm the most proud of, the deadlift was a deadlift only, but it was after 6 months of rehabbing a hamstring tear that just didn't want to resolve.
Yeah.
And then not my biggest squat in a meet, but one of the bigger ones, 600 squat in just a suit and knee sleeves.
Yeah. No briefs.
So no briefs, it wasn't crazy cranked or anything like that. I got, I gained weight between the meet where I did 650. I weighed in at 214. Like I had to cut for 220.
Yeah.
For the time that I squatted 6. But so things didn't fit that great, and I couldn't really put a bunch of extra stuff on. I didn't have anybody with me to wrap my knees. Wrapping your own knees in equipment in
even
like a
just,
suit is
even
just seems
raw,
terrible idea.
Yeah, even just raw, fuck it. When can we sign up for the gym? Announcement's coming soon. We got some delays. We're doing our best. We're handling our side. The world's not handling its side. But we'll announce via email, 3sb.co if you want to sign up. Bunch of articles, info, exclusives coming there. And then also announce on Instagram, all of us, probably, for
it's
sure.
not going to be a secret when we're finally
yeah, not an exclusive to become a member here.
No.
We want you. It'll just take a little bit of time, but we'll let you know.
I want to just, yell for just a moment about the fact that we should have had all of our equipment by now. And we were promised all of our equipment by now. And I understand that there are supply chain issues and all that stuff.
Yeah.
However,
supply these nuts.
It's like this. This pandemic's only going to last so long.
Yeah.
How long is your business going to last if you don't give good customer service?
Yeah.
Especially when you're having trouble with supply chain management. You can't meet the orders that you have agreed to, that you've given, firm
and
dates
this is the
to.
thing too is it's multiple companies.
Yeah.
I wish we were just ripping one guy, and that was going to be kind of my answer in this next question, and maybe you can throw it all together if you want. But biggest hurdle when starting a brand or gym. That's where I was going to go. There's been no surprises for me necessarily. The building was a little bit more of a surprise. I think we did like 2 or 3 walkthroughs before we signed the lease. Jim had already used this building for like 10 years. I had been in here as a part of a lot of things for 4 or 5 years, ran a lot of meets here, a lot of podcast content, lifted my face off here. The biggest surprise, I guess, is when we did the walkthroughs, I didn't have the eye of a business guy going on because we didn't really have options.
Right.
We were going to get this building. We did walk through other buildings in Sacramento to choose where we're going to open, but like we didn't really look at them. Like we were pretty much only going to open this gym.
Yeah, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. So because of the history, because of our history, because we like the building, because of the location, because of so many different factors, history, nostalgia, parking lot, access, location, all of that. So I think my biggest fault, which isn't a hurdle, was not looking at it through that lens. And then we found a lot of things that we had to fix here. But I think the biggest hurdle in general, nothing surprised me. And I think we've done a pretty decent job, I'd say probably 80% as a team, of handling what you can handle while the world doesn't give a fuck what you're doing. So you buy something, you order something, you want to call it karma, you want to call it flow, whatever you want to call it, things aren't going to line up around you. So you really have to handle your shit. And this goes for anything. This goes with powerlifting prep. You got to be on top of your shit because there's going to be things at a meet you cannot control.
Yeah.
Someone gets injured and the platform's all bloody. Someone misloads your weight. Someone spotters suck. Judges suck. You have to handle your shit because
computer goes out, the lights go out, whatever.
Anything. Delays. It's too fast. It's too slow. You don't get to warm up. You can't get a barbell in the warm-up room. Your singlet's missing. You're not allowed to use your belt all of a sudden, whatever it is. There's always going to be issues, so you have to prep yourself as best you can. And with business, I think we've done a pretty decent job, again, probably 80-90% handling our shit so that any delay, any scheduling, any issues aren't on us. And that's really where we are right now. We're just waiting. So that's, like, I guess, more advice than our biggest hurdle starting a brand or gym. I don't really know a hurdle. Yeah, I mean, there's been no hurdle for me, to be honest, that I can think of.
What's the biggest hurdle? I will tell you that I think the biggest hurdle was every time I go to the bank account to pull stuff out to buy things for the gym. I think that's probably the biggest.
Like a mental hurdle then?
Yeah, it's
like
a mental hurdle.
You deciding all right, where's this money going? Is this worth it?
Yeah, and even though I don't actually have a lot of question about that, it's still a mental exercise every time.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why. even my therapist said this, and I think I've said it on here too, is I'm a little bit, it's not like I'm reckless with money, but I'm a little bit fearless. Maybe I just have so much inner confidence in things that I'm a little fearless with money going towards business. I'm pretty not fearful, but I'm not frugal either. I'm pretty down the middle with spending my money on shit. It's not like I'm reckless. I don't buy reckless clothes. I bought a house. It wasn't reckless. It was well planned. Even my car was well planned. It was a good deal. I'm not fearless with money overall, with personal finances, but I'm a little bit fearless when it comes to business. And maybe that's just because I know I'm going to bite my way to success somehow. Or at the end of the day, if it's out of my hands, which some things are in business and life, then I'm okay at chopping it and say, all right, I did what I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that part doesn't bug me too much. Although there's a lot of money going on. It doesn't feel good. But I think, again, long term,
right.
It's not like a hurdle. It's a hurdle to see my bank account with a lot of zeros and on the left side, not the right side.
Yeah.
You want the zeros on the business advice for the day. You want a lot of zeros on the right side of numbers, not on the left side of decibels.
Yeah.
Or left side of numbers.
I paid our electric bill yesterday out of the business account, and that's the first thing that we've really paid out of the business account.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that felt pretty good.
Yeah, hopefully soon. I don't know what other questions I got. I'll go scroll back. I got questions everywhere. They're story, they're posty, they're on. You Twitch boys are here. So they asked the question about your lifting. Let's see what we got. Oh, it's getting a little warm in Sacktown.
Yeah, I can tell that it's October. It's October 21st, and it's hot. It's 88 degrees outside.
How light do you train during a deload? So for those that don't know, a deload typically is a period of time in training where you're allowing yourself to kind of recover beyond the fatigue that you threw yourself from previous training. So a very common cycle or pattern is 3 to 4 or 5 weeks hard, 1 week kind of off, and then rinse and repeat, trying to lift more weight or more volume. I typically do not program or coach lighter weeks during my deloads. It depends, obviously, if it's kind of an off season, if it's a travel, if it's a vacation, if it's a lifestyle thing that we're kind of working around. You're in an off season powerlifter and now you're in Hawaii and you have to train lighter because you're in a hotel gym, or you're a time crunch, or you're working a certain industry and you have 3 weeks that you have to work really hard and you just can't get to the gym for 3 hours to powerlift or whatever. We might go lighter. But typically, whether it be leading up to a meet or even an off season, I tend to take away volume and keep intensity, how heavy the weight is, a little bit higher. I find if you take, because it's a typical thing, lift a 3x3 at 50% for a deload or something. That probably started in some cookie cutter program. What I find will happen then is when you do get back into the gym, the weights just feel so heavy. Whereas you can still hit doubles, triples, singles, kind of heavy, take away the sets, less volume during a deload, so you can recover a little bit better, get a little more sleep. Maybe we take away some of the accessories. Instead of doing 3 or 4 sets of chest press or shoulder press, we'll just do 1 or 2, but still keeping it heavy. As soon as you get back to heavy training the week after or 2 weeks after, weights just feel a little bit better. They still feel light. You still feel recovered. And same thing leading into a meet. It used to be very normal. And again, it's different when you're lifting in powerlifting gear, which then translated to raw lifting because people didn't realize the differences because raw powerlifting wasn't really a thing. That you would take 7, 10, 15 days off the gym or out of gear. And so then when you're lifting raw, if you're a 1,000-pound squatter, you may only squat 400 or 500 pounds raw, which is then 50%.
Right.
But if you're squatting 600 pounds raw and that's your opener in a meet, and you take 10 days off and all you do is squat 315, 15 days later, you got to warm up to about 550, 575 before taking 600 on the platform. And although adrenaline's going, your groove's going to be off and it's not going to feel nice. Rather than, why not take 500 to 550, if you're in shape and depending on the scope of your program, 3 days out, 5 days out for singles, which aren't very fatiguing. And now you'll feel real strong and still fresh if the volume's gone leading into the meet. Or just get in better shape overall. If you can handle 6 sets of squats, this is hypothetical, 6 sets of squats 3 times a week at varying loads, then going into a meet, you could still do 2, 3, 4 sets of squats 2 or 3 times a week, and it won't affect you at all, right? It's all of what you're adapted to and what your general fitness is. But if you squat once a week and you're only doing 3 hard sets once a week in squats, that's probably all you're going to be able to recover from. If you add another day, you're going to be sore and tired.
I think it's insane how quickly people get detrained.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know. I mean, it certainly came up in an era where you were taking at least a week off.
Yeah.
But in gear. But I have observed way too many people who are raw lifters who get anxious if they cannot train in that final week. And I think that if it's going to make you more anxious that you haven't trained in that week, you actually need to figure out something to do.
Yeah.
You need to, it used to be, recovery work, sled drags, all that, that kind of, that sort of West Side mentality. But I don't think that's enough for a lot of people. And I think that, don't get crazy. Don't kill yourself for the week, for the meet by overtraining.
Sure.
Like you were doing, working up to a peak. But, choose, like something Mike was saying there, where you're hitting some heavier weights, you're getting some intensity, you just don't have the volume that you have to recover from. It seems like a much better plan for a lot of people. And a lot of raw lifters are just like maniacs anyway.
Yeah.
They're maniacs in a different way than the geared people were.
It's just logical to me too, and obviously there is science to back it up, but I can't footnote studies. My brain's a little bit more full of our branding and gym design. But if you just look at across the spectrum in other sports, and obviously it's different because we're talking about more external load, which may be more fatigue on the CNS and mentally and physical fatigue. But if you start to look at golf, look at a basketball player, look at a tennis player, even a runner, Steph Curry isn't taking 7 days off from shooting a basketball before the playoff game.
No.
You're not taking 7 days off from swinging a baseball bat or swinging a golf club. And I understand that the fatigue is less from swinging 100 baseball, hitting 100 balls in a batting cage is different than doing 100 reps in the gym, 100%. But even if you scale it, you do 100, let's make it up and say 100 pitches is equal to 5 sets in the gym of general fatigue or specific fatigue. If people would take all 5 sets away, but no way are you not pitching if you're about to go pitch in the World Series like 5 days out. Like you got to warm up. You have to practice your skill. So if you just stop squatting 15 days out, squatting is a skill just as much as throwing is a skill. So you take that out, and now you're probably going to feel quite rusty going into it, rather than, again, greasing the groove with something heavier. Another thing people think about, like, well, just go real light. Well, like, you don't. If you're a 600-pound squatter, squatting 225.
Doesn't get you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't feel the same. It's not doing anything on your muscles, but it's even the skill of it is so different. You got to get into that 80-90% and then just take away the volume. So long story short, with deloads, I typically will do maybe even 50% the volume, but keep the weight fairly high for when we're trying to deload, depending on the cycle. I know that's long term, but a lot of it does depend. And that's why podcast is cool, because people ask me this shit in fucking Instagram or DM and I can't really explain, but it fully depends on the individual. I don't know if this applies to you, Jim, but let's see. Top 5 video games. Did you game at all?
Not much, no. Like, mostly...
Yeah, name whatever. You can name a fucking board game for all I care.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. I liked video games when they first became an option.
Yeah.
I played, like, if I could get a Missile Command machine in here, I would do that shit right now.
I'm sure we could.
Not a high quality graphics game at this point.
Sure.
Obviously, but
just
a lot of nostalgia. Deal. Like, came out when I was in high school. Really cool.
Yeah. I was just talking to my mom last night about getting her into video games. She's like, I there's nothing to watch on TV. I don't like to read late at night because the room's kind of quiet. I don't know if I'm exposing my mom right now. And I was like, well, why don't you read while the TV's on, because some people need background noise. She's like, nah, I hate that. I was like, why don't you try a video game? Because now, much different than younger generations, you can find a video game for anything. Even if you want to play cards, there's obviously poker video games. If you want to do this, if you want to, like, there's adventure games, there's action games, there's planning games, there's designer games. Like, there's a game for anything. And I think which is really cool, which is something that some generations just missed. Where, like, I literally think directly in my age bracket is probably the first adults that are super into games because we were born into Nintendo. You know, like Nintendo, I don't know what year it came out. Maybe 88, maybe the year I was born or something, but it was like right around. And we've had a system in our hand my whole life. And so it's so normal now for a 30-year-old to game. But in the 80s, a 30-year-old game is probably like looked as a lazy, low-life loser nerd. Right. So it's different. Where now, especially with Twitch and YouTube and everything else going on, it's so normal. But point being is that there's Flight Simulator. Like, that's like supposed to be, I don't know shit about flying a plane, but it's supposed to be insanely accurate, you know? And there's party games. Like, there's so many things you could do. So now my new mission is to find my mom some kind of game that will stimulate.
Find your mom a game.
That she's into, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like, I was going to say, like, Asteroids. All those, I loved those games, playing in, you know, in a pizza parlor or whatever. Yeah. Or an arcade. With my kids when they were young, because, like we had a computer that had a bench in front of it instead of just a single chair, because there was never more than one kid, or less than one kid there. I mean, that's not correct. Less than two kids. There's never less than two kids there. You know, like Myst, we as a group, as a family, we like that because of the puzzles. And things will be obvious, and you go, oh my god, like how it just took us a day to figure this out, and it's so incredibly obvious. You need to, you know, strike the match on the side of the box. Jesus fuck, like it's like real life. Like, why can't you
gaming? Like, that's cool, and I think that's the root of probably why my generation's into it, is because, like, multiplayer game wasn't a thing, and so, like, you just do it together.
Right.
Like, watching games was a thing. Taking turns was a thing. Now everyone has their own system, and you can play together, and that's cool in its own sense. But similar thing, I go to my buddy's house. We didn't have a PC when I was a kid, but go to my buddy's house, and we have 3 chairs around this thing, and we're just taking turns playing whatever.
And right now, my my older grandson is 5, almost 6, and earlier in the year during, you know, lockdown stuff, he was literally playing games on Twitch. And the thing that's funny to me now, like we bought him an iPad because he was doing school, you know, virtually, and every computer in the house was locked up with some adults doing a job. And now, because he's played games and because he's young and his brain is really malleable and stuff, that when we talk to him, you know, or them once a week on FaceTime, it's like that iPad is like our avatar in his world, and he interacts with us exactly as if we were right there. Just crazy to me.
COVID hasn't been that long yet. Like, obviously, I know some of you are going to be like, dude, it's been fucking long. But in the scheme of my point being that it could change. Time's moving so fast anyways with technology and how fast we're growing, but stuff like this could affect that generation like crazy. You know what I mean? Like, what if you can't see grandpa for 5 years?
Yeah.
That's so different than you and your wife like to travel. You guys would visit all the time. Just because of COVID, similar things that, like, my mom would kind of talk about, like JFK getting shot and things like that she remember, like getting under a desk and shit like that, or whatever. It might be 9/11, kind of for my generation, a little bit different, but a lot of the same. Top 5 video games. I don't know. I played an insane amount of video games, but I wasn't like as much of a variety kid as most. I played a lot of games that I enjoyed, but I wouldn't put in my top 5. Like, I played a lot of 2K, a lot of basketball stuff, a lot of FIFA, a lot of soccer stuff when I was younger and in high school. I always played a ton of the like old school shit, like the Marios and the Sonics and the Mario Karts, the Mario whatever, the James Bond on N64. But if I had to, I played a lot of GoldenEye, and then I played a lot of the one after that. Is it Tomorrow Never Dies?
Maybe
there was another one on N64 that was a James Bond game, and it just came after the GoldenEye, and I played a crap ton of that. But if I had to like put it on like my platform of video games that like whatever, it's definitely Halo. 1, 2, 3 top like affected my life. That was like when like gaming with homies started to become the thing. Online gaming was a thing with PCs, but not as much. And so every Friday I played basketball on the varsity for 4 years, and so we always played Friday nights. the whole team, most of the team, would come over to my house after the games at like 10 at night, and we just hook up 2 TVs and we're playing Halo for fucking hours. So Halo, the Call of Duty series, not one in particular, but I played a ton of those over the last I guess like 12 years now. I don't know beyond that. I played like StarCraft a lot on the computer back in the day, a little bit of Diablo. Now that we're on Twitch, all these gamers are probably judging me. And I can't really say. Like Mario Kart, I feel is like such a classic. I feel like it really expanded what it means to be a racing game, because some games were just like too boring where you're just like, it's not difficult. And then some games were too unrealistic where this kind of made it kind of like a party style game for kids, but made it scalable. Super Smash Brothers, I played the living hell out of the first one. Never really got into the others. But if I had to just put a staple, it's definitely just probably Halo, to be honest. So many years. I mean, it took up 10 years of my life, because the first one came out in like 2001, and then it's like 2009 when you're playing the crap out of Halo 3. So it's just a long, big old part of that's a third of my freaking life of playing Halo. Back then, they didn't have hours tracked, I don't think. Now, every game, for some reason, you can see how many hours you put into it. Like, that'll fuck you up.
It's disturbing.
It is. I don't even want to look. I played a lot of Escape Tarkov this year. Super intense. Cool. Really cool. Different game for me, but yeah, I'm not as much as a variety guy as... Because some people, when they say the game, they just hopped games left and right. Part of it, too, is like periods of my childhood, my dad lost his job or left his job. And so like wasn't making money. My mom's making less than a school teacher because she's at this weird private school that I went to. So we just didn't have cash. And I didn't know that because I'm 10 or 12 or whatever. But like they just wouldn't. I couldn't buy a new game every 6 months. Like I got N64 5 years after it came out kind of deal. You know, they took care of me the best they could, obviously. And I never went without a meal and I never went without a roof. You know, I was very lucky in many senses, but I wasn't the kid to get a new game all the time to like keep up with the trends.
Yeah.
And then even now, talk about like financial fear, or like being a little frugal. Like I'm like, I don't want to buy a bunch of games. You know, I want to buy like one game and I want to play the living crap out of it. And I also hate
your money's worth.
Yeah, and I hate being bad too. Gaming's like anything else. Like I just don't want to. I don't want to go do something else. It's going to take me 5 years to be good at it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I spent all this time doing this. I want to now get good at doing this.
What else we got?
I don't know. I'm
We're
scrolling.
about 54 here.
Oh, we're moving then. I don't know. I'm getting belly sore. It's going to be a wet T-shirt contest in a second. Me and Jim wore white today.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why we wore white today.
When are you getting a haircut? That's rude. Oh, here we go. Sumo or conventional usually best suited for someone with a guy with short arms and long femurs. So what you got to take into account is there's a lot of different things with powerlifting. Femur length, arm length, all very relevant. But body weight, mobility, experience all play a big difference too. And just because one maybe textbook-wise may sound or look better doesn't mean that you will be able to pull more there, because there's different like muscle fiber types. There's different ways that people move through space, and so you may be beat these trends. But typically speaking, if you have short arms and long femurs, you're just not built to deadlift either way. That's the sad truth. Doesn't mean you can't lift a lot of weight. There's a lot of guys. I got tiny little arms. I should be the world's best bencher, and I'm just not that strong on bench. It's just kind of how it goes. It's only one factor in getting strong. Movement patterns, how good you are at that movement. And then again, muscle fiber types and training matter a lot. So typically I would also say that if you pull conventional, your hips are going to be quite high. Torso length also matters. So how you look pulling versus someone with short femurs and long arms, it will look very different, but the rules that many people on YouTube kind of explain are very similar. If you have some mobility, and based on just the small explanation you gave me on Instagram, you'll probably be off better sumo to reduce that range of motion. But again, it's really hard to say without seeing you move, without knowing torso length. Mobility again plays a big role, and then where your strengths are. If you got really strong quads, I'd say definitely sumo. But if you don't, and you can't get into a good position, and your quad strength just isn't there, but you got a strong back, maybe you'll be better off conventional. Kind of hard to say. I feel like we got really informative questions today. A lot of
feels that way, yeah.
Powerlifting things, which is good. Or nutrition things, or decent questions. Nerds, proud of you boys. Yay, internet. What do we do? Close her out?
Yep, I think so. Any close out with any
what do we got? Announcements
that we might have.
Last 2 days to get merch. thank you all for the support. Things sold like crazy. We're out of a lot of things. Saturday officially the chapter ends. So we're trying to tell our story like a book. And books have beginnings, middles, and ends. And each chapter of ours is going to have an end. So probably Saturday, not guaranteed, will be your last day to grab anything that is left in stock. From there, we're moving on. So we're going to keep plowing through, hopefully on the website. We got to figure that out. Obviously, we got this physical space to deal with, but we'll hopefully plug the content on there. Definitely plug content on the email list. Keep you guys entertained, whether it's exclusive offers on merch, news, things coming forward. We have a contest we're going to be running soon, so stay tuned to that on the email. We'll probably talk about it here next week. Again, the support has been crazy. 3sb.co. Announcements coming hopefully real soon about the gym itself. We're, 90% done?
I don't even know. I lost track.
I'd like to say 90% done.
I like to believe 90%.
Yeah, so we're moving. Yeah, it's been insanely cool seeing you guys tag it, love it, pack it, all that. Feels really, really good. So thank you. And I think that's all I got. I'm going to be here in like 2 hours. We're going to deadlift. First time on Twitch, our Twitch fam.
2 hours.
Yeah, so if you guys are here, be sure to check out Jim McD so far on YouTube. Content hopefully coming real soon. Might be a name change, might not be.
Yeah.
But Jim McD on YouTube, check that out. I don't know if we're going to live stream there, but hopefully content coming soon. My YouTube content coming soon. Probably film these deadlifts and talk a little bit. But we'll be live streaming gym stuff more on Twitch. And as soon as we get this physical location up, I'll be back gaming. And for now, the podcast will stay here, but we might spin that around. 50% Facts on YouTube also, revamping that a little bit if you guys want to check that out. Clips and full podcasts all the time. New podcasts every Wednesday. Ratings and reviews, iTunes, anywhere you want to listen to us, Spotify, etc. And yeah, thank you guys. I'm Silent Mike.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social medias. My voice is really shot today for some reason. You can find the show on Instagram, 50% Facts, where percent is a word, 50 is just numbers. The website's the same, and I'm going to get back to it at some point. I keep saying that. There's just so much to do and so little time to actually accomplish it. Even when you're halfway organized, which sometimes I am.
I'm definitely not organized by any means. I get it done.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.